Something else I did want to move on to, though, because this discourse has really been a huge point of debate over the last couple weeks now on the online left, and I'm actually fascinated to get your opinion, Nick, on the substance of the debate, which is, whether or not it's hypocritical for a so-called socialist to have a $3 million house, for example, in Hollywood. So that's a very interesting debate, and there's a lot of facets to it, but as a good framework to discuss it, I did pull this clip from a recent Destiny live stream in which he actually goes after Hasan, I think, pretty effectively. He makes some decent points here, despite the fact that I'm normally not a fan. But I wanted to get your reaction to this, and we can have a discussion, about the substance. But yeah, let's take a look at the first couple minutes of this before we react.
In his Discord, fucking typing out that I doxed him because I put a screenshot of like the third mainstream article that was published about him buying a $3 million WeHo house. Okay, I don't know how the fuck that counts as doxing. I don't know why the fuck dipshits like Ludwig would repeat that as doxing. This constant like demonization of me and my like community or whatever, of being like these crazy boogeymen. Like, you guys have fan bases that eclipse mine. Like, this guy will go, I'm trying to imagine, and like, this is my problem with Hasan. So one, I can't even talk about him that much because if I do, I get called obsessed. So Hasan has this very special kind of like lefty protection on YouTube or on Twitch, whereas for any other figure, I could criticize them relentlessly, which is whatever. I don't care. I don't need to talk about his horrendously dog shit political opinions because there's a ton of other things to talk about, and I want to play League of Legends, okay? So my problem, though, is that, like, where do I start, okay? I just want to just one time, okay? I'm just going to one time it because I just don't normally, but I will this time, okay? Hasan has had probably one of the easiest lives to live in the history, all of lives to have lived across the entirety of existence. I hold my tongue when people do the thing where they're like, oh, like, so just because you're a socialist means that you have to be poor. Nobody's saying that you have to be poor when you're a socialist. But Hasan does not live like a middling person struggling under capitalism or being oppressed by capitalism. Hasan is literally living the most impressive, most capitalistic, most hyper disgusting consumeristic life that has ever happened in like all of what you can do. Like the constant fucking showing off of the clothes, the obsession with porn stars, I dated a porn star, I go to the adult video things, I'm donating thousands of dollars to porn. He's donated more money to porn stars on Twitch than he's made like political campaign contributions. You can look it up. It's all public info, okay? Like, from going to like living in the US to living in Turkey to moving all over the world because his family will pay for him to live wherever, to getting the job at his uncle's fucking like political area, to making friends on Twitch and then moving into politics here, and then to exploding on Twitch by watching other people's fucking 90-day fiance videos and shit. To do all of that, right? And then to get into these positions where now he's making like millions of dollars after streaming for like 2 years, okay? In my opinion, I think that's great. If you can do it all, that's fine. I celebrate that, okay? But to do all of that and then to like turn and be like, fuck celebrities. I don't think that they should have this much money, or fuck Jeff Bezos, blah blah blah. When I watch this whole fan base switch to the fuck billionaires, millionaires are okay, and then they compare like, well, Hasan has as much money as Bernie Sanders, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I have a lot to say about this. That was very interesting. I didn't know anything about this before I came on, but this is a very interesting conversation because I have zero problems with class traders on the left. We want class traders. We want people to be able to be great comrades despite their prosperity. Now, I can take this conversation in a few ways. Now, this is the first one I'm going to take it. Where I'm going to respond to this Destiny guy. Do you guys understand the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire? Like, that's not even close, guys. And I'm sorry if I'm misremembering this. I'm trying to think of the millionaire comparison. But anyway, just to highlight, I know there's one I know on top of my head. To highlight the difference between someone like LeBron James, who is a very wealthy person. In order for him to reach Jeff Bezos' wealth, he would have to play basketball at the highest contract that he had for 500 years. That's the difference. So what I would love to happen, and this is the goal of all leftists should be, is in a fair economy that we want to exist, with the amount of wealth that the United States have, we want everyone to be millionaires. We want everyone to live in prosperity, because that is 100% possible. But we had the billionaire class that is eating our wealth. They made over $8 trillion ever since the course of the COVID-19 pandemic. And this income inequality is by design, and that is by policy. So I am not upset when there are millionaire people who claim to be allies. Now, here's another thing. I have not followed Hasan that much, but from what I've seen, he's a very loyal squad defender to the point where it's almost class loyal. Because he was against, I remember he spoke out against the Medicare for All marches. He spoke out against forced to vote. So he is a millionaire that was punching down and attacking activists instead of using his massive platform to help us. Because if you had criticism of any of that stuff, why not help instead of just be a massive critic? Now, I don't follow his stuff that much, so I apologize for overstating this, but I've seen evidence of him speaking out against his stuff. Now, that's where my criticism comes from. Because if you're constantly taking the side of politicians over activists, you are actually being class loyal, whether you know it or not. And that is not the class traitor that I appreciate. The class traitor that we appreciate are the people like Susan Sarandon, who actually showed up to the Medicare for All marches to stand in solidarity with proletariat. So now what people that class loyal like Hasan, what they would do, they agree with the premise of the squad, where they say, oh yeah, the squad don't have to support the Medicare for All marches because you guys are deplorable. And these same people, a lot of these bread tubers, these people like Hasan and Vash, well, I don't know about Hasan, I back that part off, but these people made their living by attacking tankies, and they punch left all the time. Now, that's when your wealth becomes very relevant, because if you're poor and struggling, if you're living the lifestyle that I lived, the last thing you are focused on is attacking activists. You rather uplift activists instead of defending the politicians. So he's a millionaire. He was on Twitch with AOC. So he had that he already had that corruption on there where he favors her over activists. These are the people that say, oh, you should just trust activists and trust the politicians. That's the class loyal aspect I see. So that's the legit criticism. My criticism is not that he's a millionaire, because we want everyone to live in prosperity. That's the criticism. And once again, if he does things that are good, like donating, I'm sorry, I'll pass right to you, Zach. But if he does things like donating and helping people out in his local area, that's great. And I would love for him to continue to do that. But I've seen criticism of him where he lived in California in this mansion. Meanwhile, there's a massive homeless population in California. What is he doing for those people? If it's not a lot, that's a legit criticism. But I don't know enough about his career to know whether that's true or not. Like, if he actually does do something, that's great. If he doesn't do anything, that's a stain. So I got a lot more to say on that, but I'll pass it right back to you, Zach, because this is an interesting kind of debate to have.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, man. Like, I also said, like, I don't give a shit, really. Like, I have a $3 million home. I think he's living with his family or whatever. They're all, like, a couple of them are living in there. It's like, that's pretty inconsequential to, like, the global fucking system of the wealth machine, right? Like, I'm not losing any sleep about some guy that's a streamer that bought a fucking nice house, right? The same way that I thought it was complete horseshit that when anybody was like, oh, Jimmy Dore has a $1.9 million compound. I'm like, bro, houses are fucking expensive in LA. That's a conversation to have.
Sorry, Zach, but I want to highlight it again because that is something that was very important about the Hasan debate. That was because it exposed a lot of people. The same people that was attacking Jimmy Dore for having a mansion was like, oh, that's not fair. So that's when I see stuff like that, when I see like that intellectual dishonesty, I immediately just start discounting you because I feel like you're not a good faith actor. And a lot of people was exposed, like David Doe. He was one of the people that was attacking people for being millionaire. Even though you're wealthy, you got healthcare and you very.
He's fucking Canadian. He gets healthcare from the state. He's already got Medicare for all.
So I'll pass it back to you, Zach. I just want to highlight what you said because I think that's a very important thing because to call those people out who are hypocrites on that issue. So go ahead.
Yeah, and like you said, Susan Sarandon is the greatest example, I think, of a comrade who is extremely wealthy. We've mentioned it on the show before. She supports our podcast. She was actually the first person that ever reached out to us and was like, hey, you guys should create a Patreon so I have a way to support you guys. Like, she's a real fucking comrade. Like, we were small as fuck when she hit us up. So she's got herself plugged into the fucking community and she's like, I have a lot of resources. I can share them. And I think if you like just took Susan Sarandon by her net worth, everybody would probably be shocked. Everybody would be like I don't even know if you know this, Nick. She's worth like $60 million. Like, she is a wealthy ass lady, right? But she's a class traitor to the fucking bones, man. Like, it's kind of what it is. Like, her industry, right? She wanted to be an actress. She was super fucking good at it. She's been in a bunch of really famous movies. That shit pays really damn well, right? But she's always, outside the event of Steve Donziger, right? Being like, hey, this man's been confined in house arrest. She's like, talking to status quo. She's talking to the gray zone. She's talking about how we need to get the fuck out of these wars. She's always with the people. She got behind Bernie Sanders in a big way. Probably donated a shit ton of money to his campaign, though I can't say that for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's one more important point I want to bring up, because this is another thing that actually connects to the Hasan debate. Like, Susan Sarandon, despite her being very wealthy, she supports independent media like yourself. She signed on my Patreon, and that's just an example of like how she wanted to like support small independent media. And she actually has strongly been advocate of a lot of mutual aid forces and direct action. So these are the kind of class trader stuff that you're not seeing from a lot of the wealthy bread tubers, straight up, to be honest. Now, this is something else that I said, like, because I didn't weigh in on the Hasan like house debate out that much, because I'm like, I'd rather focus on other stuff other than that. But this is the one take I actually had. What does this say about the United States left, who I have been very critical of? And this is a lot of people don't like me because I do not hold my tongue. And I think the U.S. left movement, or well, at least the managerial left, has been deeply incompetent.
Yeah, I call them the neo-progs.
Yeah, I like that. I love that term. I love that term. But what does it say that you had a U.S. left and you had these people that are donating to these millionaires? Like, they donate to Vosh, they donate to Hasan, they donate to these wealthy instead of Casey Tennis, who we just talked about. What does that say about their money? That's the one thing that shocks me. I'm like, how can they even make that much money? I know they make a lot through Twitch subscribers, but there's like a lot of people that like donate. I see clips and I see people donate. I'm like, bro, that dude is a millionaire. He's good. What are you doing? Why are you donating to them instead of mutual aid? This is ridiculous. So anyway, that's just another critique that came in my head, because I'm like, once again, that's not even Hasan's fault. But like, if I tell people all the time on my show, like, just donate to mutual aid, donate to, like, I'll be much better served. People just say, oh, just donate to me all the time. But I always tell people, like, donate to Tour for the Poor, donate to
Casey Tenants. They will use your fucking money wisely.
And once again, I'm asking the question, because I don't cover it. I don't watch the show that much. But, and this is for anyone who's watching, to ask yourself, does he do that? Like, is he saying, like, hey, don't donate to me, man, just donate to these mutual aids? If he does, the good for him. But if he doesn't, I think that's a very bad thing. Once again, when I'm looking at Destiny, and I didn't even cover on, once again, I'm sorry, Zach, but that was such an interesting thing to watch. I got a lot to say from that. Destiny critique, once again, I don't know his political compass. Like,
Destiny's a capitalist, so it's supposed to be like
interest, right?
Yeah, Destiny. So Destiny is very like he'll debate Bosch from the right.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because I remember the only thing I really know about Destiny is that he was that guy that actually thought he could debate Professor Richard Wolff. Like, what? On capitalism, I watched that. I was like, man, and once again, I'm biased. I understand that. But I'm like, bro, this dude getting dismantled. Why do you think you can actually debate a guy with a PhD? But anyway, back to you, Zach.
No, that's the thing. Well, that's actually what Destiny was big for. And Gavin went to the bathroom really quick, but he could tell people a little bit more about this. Destiny's been a long time fucking titan on streaming services. So Destiny, like, he's probably a little butthurt, and you can tell in the fucking video that he's like, oh, Hasan, fucking had everything handed to them. He fucking came up in streaming super fast. It's like, all right, yeah, like whatever. Like, he had some nepotistic help. I think the guy, like, he does a good job streaming. I don't know a lot about him, though. I've talked about him a lot recently, and I've seen like some of the clips of him that I like and some shit that I don't like. So I don't want to be like a fucking dick and just drag the guy. But the one thing that does kind of irritate me about him, and something that I try and like, personally embody in my ethos, I'm sure you guys do too, is like, I don't really want to be like a flashy like advertisement for capitalism like that. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, I've got my Gucci shit, I've got my like fucking HBA shit, I've got my like fucking whatever. I spend $1,000 on these pair of shoes. Like, what? Like, if that's your shit, like, I don't hate you, but I also don't think it's necessarily like coherent with like your mindset. Like. Why would you be like freaking out over spending $500 on Nike shoes that all went to a capitalist profit when some guy in a factory in Indonesia made that shit for basically slave wages? Like, I'm not saying don't wear Nikes, but don't be proud of it like that. Don't be buying 100 pairs of Nikes. Like, you got fucking shoes to wear them. But I'm not like hating on regular people, but it's like, if you're going to make your money and you're going to make that massive amount of money, like, telling people about this shit and like telling people what they should be doing and prescribing all these like ways to live with people, like it does come across as hollow if you're like, yo man, I'm a fucking flex machine, bro, like I'm kicking it with these porn stars, y'all, fucking getting crazy, y'all, like, you know, it kind of gets that like riffraff kind of a vibe almost, like, you know, like that, like, hey y'all, fucking catch me, y'all. It's like that is the opposite of the ethos that I want to have as a socialist commentator. And of course I, you know, Gavin and I, we don't have any ambitions to become millionaires streaming like this shit, but like if we fucking did, dude, you would see like a Vanguard compound, you would be like, yo, come film your shit in art, like get of a professional sheen. Like I'm not money obsessed, which I think is probably what brought me to the left in my politics to begin with, right? I don't give a shit about that kind of thing. I want people to be taken care of, right? Like material benefits aren't bad, but the constant pursuit of wealth or whatever the capitalist teaches us to do is bad. So my critique of Hasan is that he, you know, he doesn't seem to really be embodying that ethos. That being said, I mean, the guy has the right to buy a fucking nice house. As I guess my last thing on that.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. And it's not that my problem with Hasan at all is that he has nice things or that he's living a nice, luxurious life. Like you said, Nick, we should all be able to live a nice, luxurious life like that. But I do think there's something to be said. And I think that I think Chris Hedges mentioned this recently on the Bad Faith podcast, that he's like, you know, there is something to be said for the fact when all of the biggest socialist, quote unquote, influencers lives are so disconnected from those of the poor and working class. I mean, that is going to affect your commentary. That is going to affect your analysis. And I think we've seen that play out over Hasan's streaming career. You know, like you mentioned, Nick, all of those missteps that he's taken and the times where he's sided with politicians over activists, etc. I mean, I think that could be pretty clearly traced to the fact that he doesn't really have any actual insight into the experience of a poor working class person. So of course he's not going to feel that urgency. So, you know, it's not like we're sitting here saying like, oh, how dare you live a nice life and have a nice house. No, it's more like, you know, if you're going to purport to be a socialist and a leftist and stand with the working class in solidarity, perhaps you should have a little bit more insight into those conditions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just now remember, I don't know why this blanked my mind, but I remember Hasan actually, he responded to one of my tweets on like when his stream, he got super mad and he was like trying to call me a grifter or whatever. I'm like, what? But I just not remember that. I maybe I seen you guys a clip, but actually fucking hilarious because I was talking about the Medicare for All March and how they opposed it, and that's part of their class loyalty that I don't really understand. I don't like, and that kind of goes back to my critique of Vosh as well. Like there are a lot of people that say that what he does is shift people to the left, and I don't really think he does that. Like what him and Hasan, what they're doing, they are turning people to fans of their brand. So they are fans of the brand of Hasan. They are fans of brand of Vosh. But they are not really shifting to the left. They're just following them on the Overton window because they are fans of Vosh. So Vosh didn't really turn right-wingers to leftists. He turned them to Biden voters. And Biden is a right-winger. So it's like, was that really successful there? So that's why I see all of them. That's why I see all these big time streamers. And that's what we do, friends. It's not like about us. Like I was doing much better when I was a solo streamer. But friends left, it's about us elevating each other. It's like more than just the brand. I mean, it's just us actually sharing a lot of solidarity. But for them, it's just more like, oh, look at me, I'm balling. You know what I mean? I'm the best streamer of all time. You're on the left ear of Dow. I'm the most intelligent of all time. I said multiple times on stream, guys, I may get stuff wrong. And this has been a journey for me on the left. And I'm very humbled. And even having the platform I have, and I continue to grow. Like people who watched my streams last year see my growth in only a year. So I come at this as a place of extreme humbleness. Like even when I make mistakes or whenever people criticize me, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and get better. And that's how I got to where I'm at right now. But for them, it's all ego. It's all like just promoting their brand instead of the actual movement itself. And Hasan being loyal to the squad is part of his brand. That's why he was going after medical fraud matches. That's why he got mad at me for calling the people out, because he got mad because my tweet was calling the people out who were criticizing, and he got mad at me, and it was like a minute clip, and he was like, "This is why you guys sending me this clip? I don't want to hear from these grifters. These people grift." And I'm like, "Dude, you're a millionaire. You calling me a grifter? What the? I'm poor, bro. That doesn't make no sense."